Set to go at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Eli Gold with Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson. Glad you're along for SETN's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500. Green flag about set to fly as Bobby Allison and Benny Parsons bring the field to the starting line. We're underway for 500 miles here at Charlotte. Quickly, it is Bobby Allison, car 22, the red and white machine, working inside of Benny Parsons. Jimmy Means starting in 5th spot. Still there, you see him to the inside of Phil Parsons. Field basically, Jerry, on a high-speed pace lap here. Nobody is jumping out of line yet.
They're 2x2 as they head out of turn 2. Looks like Benny Parsons will take a half a car length advantage. Allison awfully strong. Harry Gant rides high. He's a 33 car back there. 55 car bobbling the Skull effort. That is Phil Parsons.
Jimmy Means is dropping back just a bit now. He's running in the 9th spot as Bobby Allison works off the inside of Benny Parsons to hang on to the lead here in the early going at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are looking at 334 laps, 500 miles here this afternoon as Benny Parsons tucks right in behind Bobby Allison. Jeff Bodine is falling to 3rd spot and holding his position there, as you see.
Allison's car glued to the low side of the racetrack. He drifts up a little bit coming out of turn 4. There is Allison. Benny Parsons in the field now, passing him through the bright orange car, easy to pick out. And then, of course, Darrell Waltrip in the Tide machine.
Good look at the speeds they generate here at Charlotte. Jimmy Means now running back in the 15th position. He has dropped 10 positions here on the start as you again see Bobby Allison. And here comes Sterling Marlin's machine. Sterling Marlin, the Piedmont Airlines Underalls Oldsmobile, in for an unscheduled pit stop.
There's the battle for 2nd spot. Benny Parsons in the car number 35. The Folgers decaffeinated colors, the green and white numeral car. Chevrolet, he rides 2nd. It is Jeff Bodine in 3rd. And they are chasing that man, Eli. 3 car lengths up to Bobby Allison.
But closing in on Bobby in a hurry. You saw the interval of just a few laps ago. You see how it is shrunk here as he's working early at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Oakwood Homes 500. Jimmy Means now dropping another couple of positions. He is back in 17th spot at this juncture as the front 3, for all intents and purposes, catching one another. There's Richard Petty moving past Larry Pearson, Neil Bonnet likewise, and closing in on Dave Marcus.
We mentioned Richard was not in his original car. He crashed that car Wednesday at qualifying. Before the qualifying session. This is a backup car. In fact, this car ran a week ago at Wilkesboro. It's a short track car, a car that was nearly destroyed earlier in the year at Pocono.
The leader is Bobby Allison. That good 2nd place battle behind him continuing. There's Jeff Bodine. He wants a piece of 2nd, moves inside of the Folgers machine of Benny Parsons. Terry Labonte right there in 4th spot watching. And Jeff not working on the low side of the racetrack possibly as best he would like here, Jerry, although getting around well.
He may have lost a spot to Labonte, and yes, Labonte will slide by Bodine as Bodine's car got a little bit squirrely. That is Harry Gant behind the Bodine machine. Now it looks to be Parsons in 2nd spot. Labonte is 3rd, and Bodine is 4th.
And as always happens when some cars begin to battle, it allows those ahead of them to pull away, as Bobby Allison is doing. Here come Dale Earnhardt, number 3, Rusty Wallace, number 27, working their way back through race traffic. That's the battle for 7th and 8th position. Kenny Schrader, car number 90, is there in 9th spot. Alan Kulwicki is running 10th.
Take a look at the interval. Bobby Allison really doing the Hueytown hustle now, pulling away by 10 car lengths over the battle for 2nd spot. That's Parsons, Labonte, and Bodine. But Allison really showing the strength. There's that battle for 2nd again.
Alan Kulwicki watching further back in 10th spot as he moves inside. There you see Labonte moving inside of Benny Parsons and Jeff Bodine. Bodine's car seems to be working a bit better off the high side of the racetrack now, as he tries to take back the position that Labonte lifted from him a lap ago.
Well, apparently the inside is not the way to go here at Charlotte. You saw Bodine get drop kicked back to 4th a minute ago, and that just happened to Terry Labonte as he gets shuffled back by running the inside groove out of turn 4. Some campfire smoke, some camper smoke, putting the stakes on Eli out of turn 2.
Sounds like a heck of an idea.
I'll tell you.
There's the Bullseye barbecue sauce machine right behind now. Those 2 cars side by side at 17th. 52 is Jimmy Means. 29, Cale Yarborough. You see Jimmy going a bit higher on the banking than maybe he would like.
Field passing in review. They have now been able to reel in the leader, Bobby Allison, and it'll be a scamper. There is Petty running very, very high. Richard Petty's car getting loose, nearly contacts the wall, as moving underneath him again is Larry Pearson.
You'll be hearing more about Larry Pearson on our subsequent SETN telecast this season as we chase the Busch Grand National Championship to its conclusion. He's currently atop the heap. But look at that again. The battle behind Bobby Allison, the 22 car, has Labonte, Benny Parsons, Jeff Bodine now trying to hold off a challenge from Bill Elliott's Ford.
What do you think could be going through Bobby Allison's mind, Eli? He's sitting there looking in his rearview mirror, and there's 4 cars door to door. You can put a blanket over. He said, I got to get out of here. But Terry Labonte says, no, I'm going to stay with you. And one driver squeezing on the inside of Benny Parsons is Jeff Bodine. He needs to have a win this year. He is winless thus far in 87.
Benny's car went a bit higher through the corner coming off turn number 2. It opened the inside for Bodine. And again, Benny's car drives and drifts up the banking, allowing Bill Elliott to try the inside. Now a challenge for the lead. The Bud car, Terry Labonte, number 11, draws inside of Bobby Allison's Miller American Buick, so the brewery battle shuffles off into turn number 1.
The beer battle up front will be won by Labonte in turn 1. Labonte in the inside groove just nudges in front of Bobby Allison, so it'll be Chevrolet with Budweiser colors, the leader, and the Buick of Bobby Allison, the pole sitter, now for the first time finds himself out of the point.
Jeff Bodine still right there in 3rd spot. Further back, there are Neil Bonnet, Dave Marcus, Michael Waltrip, Richard Petty. Field is strung out just a bit around the speedway, maybe a bit more quickly than we had expected.
The track, a double dogleg, 1.5 mile asphalt facility here. Beautiful track in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Trouble. Turn number 1. 3 is Dale Earnhardt. 90 is Ken Schrader. Hillen spins around. 52. Jimmy Means is involved. There is caution on the speedway as 5 or 6 cars get tangled up. There's Buddy Baker's Crisco Oldsmobile, number 88. Poor Jimmy Means. We'd been following him. He had dropped down to 17th spot. Some flames from behind Buddy Baker's car.
Got to be oil and possibly some fuel. Look at the melee. Look at the carnage up there in turn 2. That's looking back toward turn 2. And the hood just flops up on the car number 90. That's Kenny Schrader's car. How is he seeing smoke and hood obstructing his view? Here comes Neil Bonnet sliding by. But look at the smoke boiling out of the car number 90 of Schrader. He tries to make his way back to pit road.
And while Kenny hustles that car back, you've got a feel for poor old Jimmy Means. He had, as we say, dropped back to another car involved, 19 Derek Cope, as Dale Earnhardt backs down the back straightaway now. Boy, after all the hype of this last couple of weeks with Means getting the ride in the Rick Hendrick car, it all ends up as it is just done in turn number 2. Here comes Kenny Schrader to the attention of Judy Donlevy and the rest of that Red Baron crew. And here comes Terry Labonte. Pat Patterson is there.
And gentlemen, the first caution flag of the day has brought the leader, Terry Labonte, of the number 11 Budweiser machine in. Junior Johnson's crew will just simply look under and around the car to check to make sure the tires are wearing properly. It'll be a quick gas stop, and Labonte's going to be down and away.
So Dale Earnhardt now the next to present himself on pit road after that multi-car incident. The crew going to work. Let's take another look maybe on this replay, which I understand is coming. We might get a better idea as to what happened there. Earnhardt and Schrader, the first 2 involved.
There's Schrader in Earnhardt's door. He slides down. Kowicki goes by. There's Lake Speed, Brett Bodine, Bobby Hillen just misses Earnhardt. Now watch for Jimmy Means' car. There is Means' car. It's been tagged by Greg Sachs.
Let's go to the pitch.
Kenny, can you tell me what happened out there?
Well, Derek and Dale got together. Derek just plain old run into him and got Dale sideways. Dale sideways in front of me, and there's nothing I could do. But it's just one of them things. But it didn't make much difference this early in the race. We didn't need to be running that hard.
Okay, that's the word from Ken Schrader.
A disappointed Ken Schrader at that.
Well, he had a good run going, and the guy who never got an opportunity to get his good run going is Jimmy Means. That's what's left of the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. Totally destroyed. That car will be put out to pasture. It is through racing competition, and what a tough break, Eli, for Jimmy Means.
The field is circulating under caution here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Oakwood Homes 500 continues when we come back.
Now we're with Jimmy Means, and Jimmy, a short afternoon this afternoon. What exactly happened down there?
Well, when I saw it, there's already 2 or 3 cars sideways, and I tried to go to the bottom, and he had started down, I already made my plans, and I couldn't go back up, and I just hit him. And then somebody got me in the back.
Well, I know everybody wanted to see you do well today, especially yourself. We're sorry to see you out of it, Jimmy.
Well, I hate to tear a race car up like that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Isn't that something, too? As we are back to green, there's the leader, Rick Wilson, as we check out the top 5 positions. You see the front 2 on your screen there, Rick Wilson and Terry Labonte. That's typical of Jimmy Means, though. Here's a guy who had so much pre-race hype, and the only thing he was concerned about is, I'm sorry I tore up Harry Hyde and Rick Hendrick's race car.
I tell you, Rick Hendrick and a lot of the people in that crew that were very impressed with Jimmy Means. Not only the fact that he practiced the car well, he qualified the car well, I got to believe they're going to give him another chance. That was not his fault.
The Kodak Films Oldsmobile leads. There you see the two Skoll cars. Harry Gant to your left and Benny Parsons, or at least Phil Parsons, shall we say, in car 55. Good battle for second now behind Rick Wilson. You see Bobby Allison inside of Labonte, then Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace. That's second place right there in the middle of your screen.
Allison a half a car length on Terry Labonte as trying to hold off again the battle of the beers. But Rick Wilson, no surprise, he did not qualify well the first day because they had problems with speedy dry, which is an oil dry on the racetrack when he went out to qualify. He qualified the second day 170.5 miles an hour. That would have put him on the outside of the front row, but he started instead back in 21st spot.
And it's also a pretty good tip-off, too, because Rick will be the first to tell you. As a matter of fact, we were talking together, I believe, at the airport in Philadelphia not all that long ago. And he said, you know, I'm just not a good qualifier in general, although the Morgan McClure team give him good cars. He's normally far better in the race than he is a qualifier. When he gets around the track that well in qualifying, you're right, he was letting everybody know exactly where he was coming from.
Well, another driver is letting him know where he's been and where he's going is Rusty Wallace. And Rusty running there back in fourth spot, and problems, and looks like a tough day, and it could be over for Benny Parsons.
The hood is up, as you can clearly see on the Folgers coffee machine. Harry Hyde waving his hands, cut it off, cut it off. Pat Patterson is just about there, as you see the camera pivoting in his position.
As you can see, gentlemen, the problem on Benny Parsons' number 35 car is terminal. Harry Hyde making the judgment to his crew to take the car back into the garage area. It's going to be a short afternoon for the outside pole sitter here at Charlotte.
Well, a tough break again. And obviously with no questions, because Harry Hyde was immediately waving his hands back and forth. Dale Earnhardt and Neil Bonnet, couple of hunting buddies out there for a Sunday afternoon ride.
You know, now Earnhardt, now the victim of that early crash, has lost 3 laps. So remember now, he is 3 laps down. He is the defending champion of this Oakwood Homes 500, and a year ago, he came from 2 laps down to win it. As you can see, he's having some handling trouble. 2 drivers who aren't having problems with the handle of their cars are Bobby Allison and Jeff Bodine.
That's for second place. Working around Steve Christman's car, and still that orange car of Rick Wilson, the Kodak Films Oldsmobile. Rusty Wallace running well here. Barry Dotson and the crew. Jimmy Maycar giving him a good ride. And there's Jeff Bodine, for the moment holding off Bobby Allison and the aforementioned Rusty Wallace.
Bodine, Bobby Allison in third, and then Rusty Wallace in fourth. The second, third, trouble up in the turn. Neil Bonnet has tagged the wall. Eli, a tough hit for Bonnet in the Valvoline Pontiac. The car careening across the grass. Boy, he has taken a lick as the car now comes to rest on the front straightaway at the midpoint of pit road.
A single car incident. Neil Bonnet, you see some flame from the right front wheel well, and that extinguishes itself. Neil Bonnet of Hueytown as Harold Kinder puts out the caution. A single car incident, and it looked as though the car just shot, Neil, you can see moving around in the car, looked as though the car just shot up the banking and tagged the wall between 3 and 4.
And he hit it a ton. There's the safety crew on the scene instantly as they have called him out. Looking, the fireman there, one crew member talking to Neil Bonnet. Neil sort of waves, and now some more of the crew come over. They will spray off the front of the car where he scraped that concrete, a lot of heat. They're waving for the safety crew.
Yeah, it looked like they're trying to get the medical crew there in a hurry, although we did clearly see Neil moving. Here comes as you see, the Charlotte life-saving crew. Many of the top teams now electing to begin their trip down pit road as we are under caution here for this incident involving Neil Bonnet. Here comes Dale Earnhardt off the banking. He's heading down pit road for service. Pat Patterson.
Dale Earnhardt brings the number 3 Wrangler machine in, and as you can see, in that first altercation, a lot of damage on the left-hand side of the car. Now, earlier, crews were trying to cut some of the sheet metal away because Earnhardt was complaining that the heat from the motor was getting through onto his leg. Earnhardt bidding for his second title here today at Charlotte. It's an unfortunate situation that happened earlier. Now it's a situation where they've got to just maintain and finish this race. The crew changing all 4 tires, trying to attend to some of the sheet metal damage. Dale Earnhardt is down and away.
And you can probably see in the background from that shot, they are still obviously attending to Neil Bonnet's car. There's Kenny Schrader again with the modified look.
modifying the front of that Red Baron's Frozen Pizza Ford. He was involved in the first melee, of course, with Earnhardt. And Bob Johnson, the crews, halfway say, okay, go ahead. Hey, you see the front grille is exposed, the sheet metal is gone, and Schrader heads back on the speedway.
You mentioned Bob Johnson. This is going to be his last race with that team.
He will join the Bob Whitcomb team, fields the new car next year for Kenny Bouchard. And Eli, while we're under caution, it gives us a chance for you to visit with one of the newest facilities, one of the unique facilities we've ever seen on the Winston Cup Tour. It's a brand new place here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's called the Speedway Club. There you get a big shot, and it towers over the front stretch. Beautiful glass facility. It has all kinds of opportunities for race fans, race drivers, and crew members. Tell us about it.
Well, Jerry, you're right. The Speedway Club here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway is really a one-of-a-kind facility as far as auto racing tracks are concerned, a brainchild of Humpy Wheeler.
Well, it's a beautiful restaurant. Hopefully will be the best place to dine in America when we get everything sorted out, sitting on top of a speedway. And a very unlikely place for a great dining club to be, but we did it, and it's working. I don't know of one that overlooks auto race tracks. There's a few of them that overlook horse tracks. Hopefully this is better than anybody has done anywhere, but the people are going to have to tell us that. It's not your typical down-home southern country club. We've got people from the north, south, east, west, and Germany and England. They come up here and it shocks them when they see this divinely beautiful place on top of a speedway.
Now, you add to the dining facilities entertainment names like Louise Mandrell, the Letterman. All sorts of acts who might normally appear in Las Vegas have now made stops here at the Speedway Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. Truly an opportunity for the racing fan to sit back, enjoy Winston Cup and Busch Grand National racing, and to do so in the plush facilities that offer a view unmatched anywhere in sports.
They are loading Neil Bonnet into an ambulance here as we have been away taking a look at the beautiful Speedway Club. Thank you, Eli, for telling us about that facility.
It is quite a spot, isn't it?
Oh, it's quite a beautiful sight. And this is not a beautiful sight. This is the remains of the Valvoline Pontiac. They have used the jaws of life to peel the roof back. The car is mangled in the accident, and they have extricated Neil Bonnet. He is on his way to the hospital.
We'll, of course, pass along a medical update as soon as we have it. We'll be right back. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway with Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson. I'm Eli Gold. This is SETN's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500. And on the restart following the accident involving Neil Bonnet, car number 27, Rusty Wallace, holding off a challenge from Bobby Allison. That is for the lead right now. The average speed at this point having dropped with that lengthy caution to 108 miles an hour, as Bobby Allison now is the leader with Rusty Wallace holding off second spot. Terry Labonte's car is third in line ahead of Alan Kulwicki's Xerox Ford Thunderbird.
There's Kulwicki Xerox Thunderbird. Behind him, of course, is Ricky Rudd, the car number 15. Then comes the car number 4, Rick Wilson. Then Jeff Bodine as the field comes thundering by. And now back in the pack, Lake Speed, a good run for him, but a very good run for Mike Waltrip. His new crew chief, Mike Beam, bringing that team along.
This is for second spot now. Terry Labonte inside of Rusty Wallace. Again, you see Bobby Allison, the 22. That's the interval between first place and the second place battle. Not a whole heck of a lot of breathing room as that battle for second spot still underway here through the front stretch into turn 1.
And a pair of Fords have run those two cars down. That would be Kulwicki and Rudd. But keep an eye on Rick Wilson. He is coming to the front in a hurry. And that's the man they're chasing right there, Bobby Allison.
See how low Rick Wilson was working through the turns, far lower. Car number 4, you see he and Labonte both glued to the low side of the racetrack. And even at this point, Wilson still even lower than Labonte.
Tony Glover and that Morgan McClure crew have really got the Kodak Oldsmobile dialed in. They're back in the pack, some good running. Good run. That's Bill Elliott back there. But look at Rick Wilson, that bright yellow car with the orange bobbing and weaving, trying to keep the car off the apron. He was down so low. There he is, those left side tires on that line. He pulls up beneath and, whoa, just about gives Terry Labonte a little howdy. You know, in the rear bumper there, as they are running at 170 plus miles per hour.
And now those Ford Thunderbirds asserting themselves. Kulwicki and Ricky Rudd, the 7 and 15 cars. bursting free from that pack of race traffic with the white car with the green trim. Rusty Wallace's Kodiak Pontiac leading the event. Actually, we've seen some good racing all the way back through the field at this point. Phil Parsons now further back breaking into the top 10, but we're still looking at the battle for third, fourth, fifth on back. And look at Richard Petty also right there, the STP Pontiac. You see he and Bobby Hillin Jr. as they battle for position after starting shotgun in the case of Richard Petty.
Now, Bobby Hillin, this is an important event for him, but a couple of weeks from now, even a more important event. He will get married in Midland, Texas. We have trouble.
Michael Waltrip. Sterling Marlin spins. Others take the evasive move. Davey Allison, the 64 Trevor Boys, just taking to the nicely manicured. I'll tell you, this lawn here has taken more share of abuse here this weekend. There's Michael Waltrip, the All-Pro Auto Parts machine, evidently up in smoke. And while he now will come to arrest his brother, Darrell Waltrip, one of the quick cars off the banking, heading down pit road for a quick stop.
And gentlemen, action is on to pit road again as we're under caution at Charlotte. This is the number 17 Tide machine of Darrell Waltrip. He'll come in, top it off with gas, and be gone. A very veteran crew here with Waltrip. An earlier win at Martinsville this year. Looks for another one today at Charlotte.
Well, we're still early in the Oakwood Homes 500, and already we're beginning to fill the garage area with attrition. But here are a couple of guys who have been battling up front all afternoon. The pole sitter, Bobby Allison, looking for win number 84. He is currently tied for third on the all-time win list with Cale Yarborough. Right side tires, Pat Broyles and the crew, Jimmy Finnick going to work on the Miller Buick for Bobby Allison. It'll be a 4-tire change for Rusty Wallace. There's Barry Dotson and the crew. Here's Joey Knuckles, the Haviland crew. Vernier Lundy Ford, the car that's been so impressive this year with young rookie sensation Davey Allison aboard.
And you know, Joey Knuckles, one of the more exciting tire changers. He works on that right front tire. It's like a high-speed ballet watching him work.
Drag racing down pit road, and look at the speedy dry up in turn 4. It looks like snow blowing across a mountaintop there as there's Petty coming by. Lake Speed, Steve Chrisman, the Coates and Clark's effort for Dale Jarrett. They're trying to work that speedy dry. They come through the clouds there in turn 4.
And if you're just joining us wondering where your favorite driver might be running as we're getting the 1 to go indication from Harold Kinder, Jerry, as you mentioned, the attrition rate has been fairly high. Most recently, Michael Waltrip is out of the event. Pat Patterson has a thought.
Gentlemen, the story here today is the garage area. We started 42 cars here, and now as you can see behind me, we've got almost 11 cars already in the garage area with less than 130 laps into this event. The story may be attrition as the day goes on, but whatever is causing these problems, we've certainly got a whole bunch of cars that are out of it very early here at Charlotte.
Well, it's hard to count cars, Pat, because they're in little piles and little pieces in there with all the banging we've had and the carnage we've had at this track so far. There aren't really that many complete cars in the garage, Eli.
Good point. It really is. Set to go back to green flag racing, and Morgan Shepherd, his car now near the front of the line as Harold Kinder says keep it in line until we get the green. And there is Shepherd, the number 26, ahead of Dale Earnhardt's car. Earnhardt now showing a couple of laps down, having made up one of the laps in arrears that he was earlier.
And he's about to try to get another lap back by moving inside of Morgan Shepherd. Now Earnhardt, remember, a year ago came from 2 laps down as he slides beneath Morgan Shepherd and does make the pass. That'll put him on the tail end, showing 1 lap down on the tail end of that lap. But remember, a year ago, Earnhardt came from 2 laps back and won this race. 2 years ago, Cale Yarborough came from 2 laps back and won this race. I believe you got to lose at least a couple laps in order to go to victory lane here at Charlotte.
Sounds like it. There's Phil Parsons. He was running in 10th spot. Problems for the Skoll machine, number 55. Let's see if Phil is going to be able to make it back around or if we'll have a caution flag here. No caution yet, but obviously problems for Phil Parsons. Tough break. He was running well.
And Phil has really had that car humming up front, and there's a beautiful view of the Speedway Club and the suites and the crowds as they have jammed their way into Charlotte Motor Speedway for this fall classic, the Oakwood Homes 500.
Do stay with us as our coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500 continues from Charlotte right after this. We did go to caution because of Phil Parsons, and we're getting set to go back to green flag racing. There's the leaderboard as it stands right now. I'm Eli Gold with Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson and the rest of our SETN crew. A lot of racing coming your way yet this season. Winston Cup cars from Martinsville and the Busch Grand National Series chase for the championship, all right here. Hope you can spend the winter months with us here on SETN. Green flag from Harold Kinder. Wonder if Harold has his TV teeth in today.
He probably does. He had them soaking overnight on the table there by the bed. And there we are up front. Looks like Earnhardt will again go around Morgan Shepherd. No, we're just kidding, Harold. There's Earnhardt getting another lap back, and he continues to reel in those lead laps as he had lost 3, remember, early in this race from that accident in turn 2.
Morgan Shepherd, Harry Gant, Sterling Marlin. Seriously, I remember a few years ago when somebody gave Harold a set of TV teeth, those plastic teeth that you might have seen in your novelty store, and each tooth had a rhinestone implanted in it, which they asked Harold to use during telecasts. Harry Gant to the outside of Sterling Marlin. Harry's had a year, hasn't he? He's had a career this year, the way I'm sure it feels to him.
Well, I guess if you could have bad luck for an entire year, every single race, Harry Gant has done it. You know, it's been since back at Bristol in August since he's even finished a race, so they have certainly had their troubles.
Sterling Marlin, the 44, the 11, Terry Labonte, 27, Rusty Wallace. Bill Elliott, not overly asserting himself, but there he is again, hanging around the lead pack of cars.
Look at the king to the right of your screen there, Richard Petty, the 7-time Winston Cup champion. That's a short track car he has here on a 1.5-mile track, and he was wheeling that car to the front. Speaks well for Dale Inman and the fellows who have worked so hard to get that car competitive.
For those who don't know the difference, this car looks exactly like every other STP Pontiac that Richard Petty has ever driven this year. What is one a short track car? Why is one a speedway car? What's the difference?
Well, the short track cars have a little bit of weight, different ratios of weight on the left side of the car. A little more left side weight, so the car will turn on the 1/2-mile and 5/8-mile tracks. You have a more of a neutral car for the speedways. Petty, this is the car he ran at North Wilkesboro a few weeks ago. In fact, this car is the car Joe Ruttman wrecked at Pocono earlier in the year. And Richard Petty getting the job done right now. He's holding off the likes of Terry Labonte and Brett Bodine, or Jeff Bodine.
And everybody's going by Harry Gant. Harry Gant coming off the banking and onto pit road. Speaking about Harry Gant, I guess it's like being on the cover of Sports Illustrated here lately. We talk, and off to the racetrack he goes.
They're going to have to take his palm print out of his forehead. He's just hit himself in the head so many times this year when problems. He is again on pit road. But a couple of guys who are having a pretty good day are those cars there. That's Bill Elliott and Bobby Allison. And it's good to see Bobby, the veteran Winston Cup campaigner, running so well here at Charlotte.
Good look at the speeds that these cars generate. Rick Wilson, Jeff Bodine, the 83 Lake Speed, car number 8, Bobby Hillen Jr. Trouble, and Rick Wilson and Jeff Bodine get together. Hard hit, Hillen is collected. Darrell Waltrip, Brett Bodine, Alan Kowicki. Brett goes up the wall, tags with his brother Jeff Bodine. And we are under caution, needless to say. Dave Marcus's car comes down. He spins on the back straightaway.
Oh, that's Marcus and Hillen as they do the dipsy-doodle out of turn 2 and dance around. A.J. Foyt goes to the inside. And again, turn 2 is the place where the carnage takes place.
Remarkable. What do we count? About 7 or 8 cars. We had Darrell Waltrip, Dave Marcus, Wilson and Bodine. Jeff Bodine started. Bobby Hillen. Kulwicki was involved. Terry Labonte, Brett Bodine.
And there's Brett's Bullseye Barbecue car. That's what's left of Alan Kulwicki's car as he makes his way back to pit road.
We count 8 cars involved. Let's look again. Before the orange car, Rick Wilson looks from this angle as though he gets into Jeff Bodine and starts Jeff spinning.
Well, Wilson is trying to give Lake Speed some room down there. You can't get 3 cars wasting in turn 1. That's what happened. Now Jeff Bodine is sideway. Rick Wilson has nowhere to go. Now, it's slow motion, but they're going 170 plus miles per hour. There's Bobby Hillen. He's involved. Beneath, Davey Allison makes a good move to stay out of it.
Yeah, I missed that the first time around.
Darrell Waltrip now just cannot get away from Bobby Hillen. His right front is involved. Look at the carnage. Here comes more cars. Brett Bodine, the bottom of your screen, just nicks the left front of Kulwicki, but Bodine can't get his car woed down. He too tags Bobby Hillen. Bodine's car spinning. We're talking about Brett now, the red number 1 on the bottom of your screen.
The interesting thing is here, he's on the flat of the racetrack, but the car goes back up the banking, and here comes his brother.
A meeting of Bodines at 160 now miles per hour. Ooh, and Brett Bodine head on to the concrete wall, and both those cars have been destroyed.
And then you see Bobby Hillen Jr., number 8. He will, if we stay with this picture long enough. He collects with Dave Marcus in just a moment or so. We'll see if we can keep this picture going just a tad longer, possibly not. We'll zero in on Jeff Bodine, but Hillen and Dave Marcus get together on the back straightaway.
A total of 8 cars involved, and there is Marcus
Here
coming
comes
by.
Marcus now.
As he will go down and be eventually involved trying to get the car woed down with Bobby Hillen. How quickly the complexion can change here at Charlotte. And there's what's left of the Kodak Oldsmobile. What a great run Rick Wilson was having.
Now we see Rick walking around. He is okay. Matter of fact, Pat Patterson zeroing in on him in a moment, but not much left of that race car. Pat?
It looked like there were 3 cars going in from what I could see. What happened?
I don't understand Lake Speed. You know, I got up under Bonnet coming down the straightaway, and he had me beat going in the corner. You know, I got out of it right going in the corner and gave him some room, and next thing I know, I looked in the corner of my eye, and there was Lake Speed. And I'd done committed on the bottom, giving Bodine the whole outside. I mean, to go around me. You know, Lake knows we can't go 3 deep in these corners. I don't know what he was trying to do. He knew Bodine was up there. So he hit me, I hit Bodine, and it took out a lot of good race cars.
Well, Rick, we're sorry to see you out of it.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at this again as Rick Wilson walks off. We'll have another replay as Darrell Waltrip's crew going to work on the right front or continuing work. That's now, you see Lake Speed's on the low side of the racetrack.
Lake Speed inside of Rick Wilson. Wilson's right front of the Kodak Oldsmobile connects the left rear of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. And now it started. The Chevrolet spinning. Jeff Bodine has no control at 170 miles an hour. He gets a punch in the door there from Rick Wilson. Lake Speed slides by. Now Bobby Hillen joins the fray. Hillen will tag the door of Rick Wilson. Darrell Waltrip has nowhere to go. It is another door tag for Waltrip.
Interesting thing there, though, is that there was a good car length or so between Lake Speed and everybody else. He didn't seem to engage anyone else.
No contact that we could see. And now look at Brett Bodine. Brett has not been able to get that car slowed down. He tags Bobby Hillen, and the car of Bodine is going to spin to the right. He has the wheels turned to the right.
That's Brett, number 1.
Number 1. Now the lower left wheel will catch the track and shoot across the racetrack right in front of his brother Jeff. Jeff tags him in the right rear, but most importantly, head on. Brett Bodine into the concrete wall of turn 2.
So we are, needless to say, under caution. This is the 5th caution flag of the day. If you're just joining us, Neil Bonnet was the reason for a caution flag earlier today. The 2nd caution, we are just getting an update from the medical center that Neil, they are afraid, has a broken leg, and they are going to transport him to the Cabarrus Medical Center in Concord, just down the road a piece, for further check there. Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine is with Pat Patterson.
With Jeff Bodine, obviously very disappointed. It looked like it was 3 abreast going in. What happened?
Well, it wasn't 3 abreast going in. From what they tell me, Lake Speed ran into Rick Wilson and Rick ran into me. You know, I had a vibration. I was slowing down, just trying to ride it out until a caution came out, and Rick had gotten under me up here, but I'd gone back by him down the front straightaway, and I don't know what Lake was thinking of. Number 1, you can't go 3 abreast into that corner. And number 2, he was just over his head going in the corner. He wasn't going to turn. He had to hit something. If it wasn't Rick, it was going to be me, or if it wasn't me, it was going to be the wall. He's just playing over his head, and NASCAR's watching. A lot of people are watching. Something needs to be done. I was a victim yesterday here of inexperience, of driver over his head, doing something he shouldn't have done. Today I'm a victim of the same thing. A driver way over his head. His equipment is far better than what he's been, and he's just trying to go too hard, and NASCAR needs to clamp down on drivers. I don't know how, but they need to. Give them a test, maybe give us malpractice insurance so we can protect ourselves.
Okay, that's a story. We're sorry to see you out of it, Jim.
Thank you.
As we go back to green, I don't know, Jerry, if I missed something, but I sure as heck didn't see Lake Speed touch anyone.
Well, now Rick Wilson, you got to remember Rick Wilson and Jeff Bodine, neither one have the advantage of the instant replay as we've been able to see now a couple of times. I didn't see any contact from Lake Speed's car. It looked like Lake had a clean move on the inside of Rick Wilson, but the contact took place in turn 1.
We'll be right back. We are at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as Dale Earnhardt, car number 3, motors around A.J. Foyt. Haven't talked much about Supertex today.
Well, the 4-time Indy 500 winner is just not having a good day. He is still running, but not up to full speed. The Copenhagen Oldsmobile, prepared by Dick Hutchinson and the crew that have a shop nearby the Speedway. You see him being passed now by Rusty Wallace. Ricky Rudd has already gone by. Supertex is not having the best of years on the Winston Cup Tour.
Lake Speed moving to the high side of A.J. Foyt. But I'll tell you something, if the thing's got wheels on it, AJ will try and drive it.
And he can drive it, too. When he climbed in an IMSA car a year or so ago and won the 24 hours, he was thoroughly impressive because we were there and saw that, and just what a tremendous chauffeur he is.
There's the Allison family. Davey and the Haviland Star, car number 28, and Bobby in car number 22. They had a very nice pre-race deal here today. It was family day, and drivers were encouraged to bring their children up onto the stage and introduce them to the crowd. And most of the fellas brought their young children with them, sons and daughters. And then here came Bobby Allison, the pole sitter, and he said, and I've got Davey here with me. And it was a nice little scene.
You know, Bobby says Davey just has learned no respect this year because he's only won once, and Davey's won twice in a rookie season. So, but I think Bobby teaching his young son some respect right now. The Miller Buick showing the way, and the Haviland Star Thunderbird about a half a car length back.
Cale Yarborough and the Hardy's Olds, the third picture, or the third car, I should say, in your picture there. He's had an up and down type of season. Just watching Dale Earnhardt here. Dale doesn't seem to be getting off the corners and actually around the track quite as decisively now as earlier. Here comes Rusty Wallace closing in and going right around Earnhardt. He's not up to speed.
Earnhardt going very gingerly into turns 1 and 2. It continues to slow out of turn 2. Possibly has some damage, lingering damage. Now, you know, he lost 3 laps in that early accident, but made those 3 laps up, but now he's got a problem.
Took a pretty good lick, too.
Yeah, he and Schrader, those 2 cars there, came together for that first caution flag, and now both those cars slowing and headed to pit road, apparently. Schrader's front completely gone. Earnhardt damaged to the left side of the car. Earnhardt and Schrader bump a little bit coming down pit road, but both slowly make their move.
Pat Patterson is right there in the Earnhardt pits. Pat?
Dale Earnhardt bringing the number 3 Wrangler car in. He has absolutely no brakes. He's not going to be able to stop the car as he goes completely by his pit. Now he's finally got this car almost stopped, but it speeds up again. So Earnhardt not able to stop his automobile to change those ever-desperate brakes.
Well, that explains why Schrader and he got together there.
Exactly. Schrader, who had been behind pit wall for quite a few laps, had nothing to lose. Apparently they radioed Kenny Schrader. Now we're being told on the team radios they had indeed radioed Kenny Schrader to slow down Earnhardt. So Schrader slows down in front of Earnhardt, hopefully letting Dale bump against his rear bumper to slow him down enough to stop the car on pit road, but it didn't work.
And now, while you're looking at Dale Earnhardt heading towards pit road, on pit road, the Earnhardt crew and other crew members from neighboring pit stalls are coming out onto pit road, and they're going to have to manually, Jerry, try and bring this car to a stop.
Now he's still going about 45 or 50 miles per hour. He's not going as slow as it may appear. Here he is coming down pit road. They're going to try to get the car wound down. There's the crew members, and Pat Patterson is there.
Wrangler's Dale Earnhardt now trying to get some assist from some other crews. This is a 3,700-pound car, and guys are trying to grab hold of it to stop it. They're not going to be able to do it. Stay here, be careful. Earnhardt's crew finally gets the car stopped with a little help from Alan Kowicki's Xerox crew. They're going to push the automobile back. He has no brakes on the car. The man who's going for his 2nd consecutive championship in the Wrangler Jeans Chevrolet. Now the hood will go up, and there'll be a lot of surgical work done on this car before he'll be able to get back. Gentlemen?
And with you being our resident surgeon, Jerry, as a bona fide MD, what can they do here to fix this automobile and get brakes back under that car?
Well, apparently they're going to doctor the brake line on the front of the car. As that car losing all the fluid and the brakes, and it did get the car wound down, and he is losing valuable time. We are under green here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Oakwood Homes 500.
And you talk about a heartbreaker. If you joined us along the way, that car had been 3 laps down at one point. He made those laps back. He was running on the lap again with the leaders, only to have this problem. We'll be right back to Charlotte.
Jimmy Phoenix, the crew chief on Bobby Allison's Miller American number 22 car. Jimmy, car's up front, seems like it's doing okay.
Yeah, Bobby's pretty well pleased with it. It was tight at the beginning of the race, and we just loosened up a little bit, and he seems pretty comfortable right now.
Is it a strategy that if you can run as hard as you can, is that what he wants to do?
Well, Bobby runs the racing car as hard as the car will go anyway.
Okay, that's the story down in Bobby Allison's pit, gentlemen.
Jimmy Phoenix, formerly the crew chief for Mark Martin on his short track programs.
And before that, he worked with Bobby Allison on the ASA trail.
There you see the leaderboard through the top 5 positions. Further back, still running on the lead lap, Terry Labonte. They're showing A.J. Foyt on the lead lap, though we'll have to reconfirm that one with NASCAR timing and scoring here in just a moment. There's Richard Petty. He's been a strong force today. They're also showing Rusty Wallace in the 8th spot. 9th is Davey Allison, and Lake Speed is 10th. Average speed 118.931 miles an hour. And now Rusty Wallace is slowing down, coming off the corner as Dave Marcus goes around him to the high side. Rusty Wallace heading down pit road for an unscheduled stop.
The Kodiak Pontiac comes to a halt, and the crew there, Barry Dodson, Jimmy Maycar, the crew working on that car. They raised the hood, and what's the problem with the Rusty Wallace car, Pat?
Well, the story down in Rusty Wallace's pit, gentlemen, is the fact that the car is overheating. They got some problems on the very front end with the radiator on that car. They've got some water they're being poured to it to try to cool the motor down some, but this is an obvious, real tough break for Rusty Wallace based on a number of things. The first one is this is putting him laps down now, but this is the same type of thing that happened to him earlier this year during the World 600. An overheating problem took him out then, and it looks like it's going to become a big problem for him today. Gentlemen?
You talk about the World 600, Pat, you know, with 9 laps to go, or pardon me, with 20 laps to go, he had a 9-second lead on the field. They began to lose cylinders. The car overheated. He finished the race on 3 cylinders. You couldn't race a good lawnmower on 3 cylinders, Eli. He ended up finishing 10th.
That battle right there for the lead. Bobby Allison in number 22, Bill Elliott in car number 9. Again, the brewery battle, this time Miller and Adolph Coors.
Remarkable how strong Bobby Allison has been all afternoon. In the past 3 weeks, there have been what they call performance trials here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the man who won it all in the performance trials or practice runs or whatever you want to call it, testing, was Bobby Allison. They have been here, they have done their homework, and they are showing what they can do. One driver who's showing what he can do all the way back from 41st spot. They call him the king for a reason. What a day for Richard Petty.
He's running well. Larry Pearson is running well. The man who is currently Busch Grand National champion of a season ago and is well on his way to this season. He's still running, as you saw on the leaderboard, among the top 5. With Rusty Wallace having been lapped, there are just 7 cars on the lead lap at this point.
Now, Cale Yarborough is not one of the cars on the lead lap. He is the meat in that sandwich between Richard Petty and Terry Labonte. There goes Labonte by in the Budweiser car, but Cale trying to make up some room, showing to be pretty strong in the Hardee's Oldsmobile. They have had a long year and a lot of trouble, but they are getting that team organized. And Cale, well, they're going to run the full season next year. But there's the battle there for position on the racetrack and in the top 5. Labonte moves inside Richard Petty.
They'll try and squeeze to the outside of Phil Parsons. Labonte takes advantage going into turn number 3 to grab the spot. And here comes Bobby Allison on a pit road for attention from Jimmy Fennig and the crew. Here comes Richard Petty, Dale Inman, and the rest of the STP Pontiac crew waiting for him.
Scheduled pit stops for Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. There's the Allison crew. Pat Broyles, Jimmy Fennig, and the crew now changing right side tires. Looks to be a good pit stop and getting all the fuel. Now they're holding the car on the jack to get the final amount of fuel in. Allison's car twins a little bit sideways coming out of pit road, about 19.5 seconds. Same for Richard Petty. Kenny Wilson and the crew.
Oh, and here's Larry Pearson. We had just talked about him. Larry Pearson in the Chattanooga Chew machine. He spins and quickly brings the car to a halt. Good job. That wall was not going to give.
Excellent job of finding the brake pedal by the young Pearson, oldest son of 2-time Winston Cup champion Dave.
You had mentioned they were keeping those cars on pit road up on the jack. When you drop the car off the jack, that's pretty much the indication for the driver to take off down pit road. And we are under caution. Larry Pearson unable to get the car refired. So for the 7th time today, we are under caution. And now Larry Pearson gets his mount on the way. Don't leave us now. There's lots more racing coming from the Charlotte Motor Speedway as the Oakwood Homes 500 continues. I'm Eli Gold, Jerry Punch, Pat Patterson, and the rest of our SETN crew standing by to bring you the final laps. Not all that far now, within shouting distance of this 334-lap event as Harold Kinder puts him under green one more time.
Back to full speed racing. Impressive run for Sterling Marlin. Now they have gotten Jake Elder, Suitcase Jake Elder, who has been the crew chief for many, almost everyone that's been competitive in Winston Cup competition has had a contact with Jake sometime or another over their careers. David Pearson started with Jake Elder, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, many more have been able to get the tutelage of Jake Elder, and he certainly is working magic now for the Piedmont Underalls crew, and Sterling Marlin currently showing in 4th spot.
There you see the race leader, Bill Elliott, number 9. Second in the standings is car number 11, Terry Labonte. Richard Petty, the STP Pontiac, he is a lap down. It's unfortunate, too, because he is running well enough, certainly now, Jerry, to keep up with the leaders as we see.
Well, he's currently being shown in 5th spot, although he is 1 lap down, but the car running so well, he is staying in front of that beer battle back in the pack. The Miller Buick of Bobby Allison has been so strong all day, and the Budweiser car, freshman win last week at Wilkesboro, that's Terry Labonte, of course.
As we've been talking about that battle all day long, Bill Elliott has really asserted himself here of late. Pat Patterson making his way, actually is there now. He's standing by with Dan Elliott, Bill's brother, and it's quite a story.
Well, gentlemen, looks like it's boiling down to a battle of the beer companies. The Coors car out front, the Miller car chasing it. Dan Elliott, Bill's brother, is he running the car as hard as he can right now?
Well, I'm not in the car, but I'm sure he's giving it everything he's got.
As far as the chassis setup, Dan, is there anything wrong with the car right now?
No, we've done everything we can physically do right now, and it's up to God and Bill to get us onto the checkered flag. So unless we have a caution or anything goes wrong with the car, he's just going to have to run as hard as he can run to stay ahead of Bobby.
Okay, that's a story from the Bill Elliott pit.
That's a tough combination to beat, too. God and Bill.
That's tough. Both of them have had a good year.
Oh, if the lightning starts flying, I'm leaving the booth. That's Jerry Punch. I'm Eli Gold. You just saw Pat Patterson. Dale Earnhardt, after losing, 6 laps on pit road earlier for those repairs, he's still out there running. He's got brakes back again and goes by Bill Elliott. Well, you wonder whether Bill might have just let him by a little bit, too. No need to have a big battle this late in the event.
Well, when you consider the damage on that car and the problems that Earnhardt has had, you've got to be impressed with the way that thing is running. Elliott says, where did he come from? Of course, he is laps down, so he is no concern of Bill Elliott's, although Bill says, now, maybe I'd like to pass him back. But remember back in May what happened here at Charlotte? We don't want to have any deja vu as what happened here in the Winston, of course, the 600 when those cars got together and a little bit of sheet metal exchange. And Elliott says, well, back again you go. Here I go again. So Elliott, the leader in the Coors Ford, battling with the fellow who will become the Winston Cup champion. These are 1 and 2 in the Winston Cup point standings. Earnhardt, 573 points ahead of Awesome Bill in the point standings. But right now, in this battle today, Earnhardt will win the war, but the battle belongs to Bill Elliott.
Elliott staying on the inside groove. Earnhardt keeping that Chevrolet wound up. Lou LaRosa is the engine builder from my hometown, Brooklyn, New York. We both found the light and moved south.
Lou's an excellent engine builder. Just took an interpreter to understand what he was saying for a few months after he moved down to North Carolina. What a super guy building engines. He's built 30 winning engines over the past few years for the Childress team.
Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, 44 and 11 respectively. Ricky Rudd, car number 15. Cale Yarborough's Hardy's Oldsmobile, number 29. Sterling's had a good run today.
Sterling Marlin, what a year they've had, up and down. Billy Hagan, they've had some management changes in the team. Only 3 top 5 finishes for the year. 2 fourths at Darlington and a 5th at Dover. This could be their best run of the season.
He is 3rd right now. Number 22, Bobby Allison, is 2nd. Number 9, Bill Elliott is the race leader. It's been a longish day, but the competition has never waned. That's one thing. If the battle has not been for the lead, it's been for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th position. Terry Labonte, he is on the lead lap and has been there all day long. So we're getting down to it. The final laps of the Oakwood Homes 500 just around the corner. We'll take it down the stretch run as soon as we come back. Stick around. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Here's how the leaderboard stacks up. good run for Richard Petty. Well, he's hanging in there. Could well be a moral victory, Jerry, if nothing else.
All the way from shotgun on the field, he's now showing in the top 5. A tremendous effort for the 7-time Winston Cup champion. I am impressed, and a lot of people are, with the kind of show he's put on today.
Of course, you got to be impressed with Bill Elliott. We mentioned about 40 minutes or so ago how he was just hanging around the lead cars all day, and now he is the leader. Pat Patterson has been with us running all day, and he's catching his breath now. Pat, what do you think?
As you can see, gentlemen, there are no problems in the Coors Mellick pit. Bill Elliott firmly out in front of Bobby Allison. We talked with the crew. Absolutely nothing that they can change on the car. It's kind of like Dan Elliott said. It's up to brother Bill right now. A few laps left to go. Back upstairs.
And we thank Pat Patterson. He's worn out the sneakers today, running up and down pit road. The attrition rate has been high. Bobby Allison is in second spot. A few years of experience, Jerry, between first and second today. Huh?
You know, Bobby has seen this play before. He has been to this act. He has seen the curtain call. You know, back in '72, he sat on the pole here at Charlotte, his only previous pole. He led a good bit of that race and ended up finishing in second spot. That's where he is today after sitting on the pole in the Oakwood Homes 500. The man he's chasing is right there. No, not Cale Yarborough, the man in front of Cale. Awesome Bill Elliott.
Jam-packed Charlotte Motor Speedway, which interestingly is not really in Charlotte at all. It used to be in Harrisburg, North Carolina. And actually they didn't pick up and move the racetrack, but there was an interesting annexation.
A trick question. Where is Charlotte Motor Speedway? It's in Concord.
It's in Concord, that's right. 5 laps to go, as you see. You might have seen the picture in the newspaper a few weeks ago when part of the speedway was annexed by Concord, North Carolina. And the sign said Concord city limits, speed limit 200 miles an hour, and they posted that right off of turn 4 here at the track.
Laps winding down. Richard Petty there holding a spot solidly in the top 5. The STP Pontiac now getting a challenge from the Motorcraft Ford of Ricky Rudd.
He's running 11th, Ricky Rudd is. You know, we had mentioned at the outset of the telecast we were going to talk a bit more about Ernie Irvin, and we really haven't as we watch Bill Elliott with laps winding down. He's a fellow who has Dale Earnhardt sponsorship on the side of his car, Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet, and Ernie Irvin he's run with a few of these events now, and he's made a pretty good showing.
Ernie's a 28-year-old driver from Salinas, California. He was a former Stockton, California racetrack champion. He moved east back in '82. He's been running short tracks around the Charlotte area at Concord Speedway. Ran some go-karts for a while, Tri-County Speedway in North Carolina. He picked up a ride. He impressed Earnhardt because he's just like Dale. He came from nowhere with nothing, and he's a super race car driver. You will hear a lot of Ernie Irvin next year.
Meanwhile, it's Bill Elliott, another guy who started very much in the grassroots of this sport. He continues to lead here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've forgotten where we were. We were talking about so many cities here for a while. Just a couple of laps to go in the Oakwood Homes 500.
Bobby Allison's got to be thinking, Eli, I've been up front all day long. I've led this thing. I have been so strong. And Bill Elliott stood back there and just was biding his time, saving that car. But Elliott is the man to beat as the laps wind down. That red, white, and Earnhardt car number 9, the Coors Ford. Only one victory in his career here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That coming in this race 3 years ago, 1984. Bill Elliott went on to win and go to victory lane. White flag for the final lap, I say, Eli, and Harold Kinder is going to get a rest. He's been in that flag stand some 4 hours this afternoon, and he's ready to go home too, I think.
The man who won here back on Memorial Day, Kyle Petty, in the Coca-Cola World 600. He is now in 10th spot in the Wood Brothers Ford, and he's having a good day, but it's right now all Bill Elliott. Working his way through turns 3 and 4 with the checkered flag now in sight.
Half a mile from win number 21 on his career. 32-year-old Bill Elliott takes the checkered flag. He turned 32 years of age, and there's jubilation on pit road as the Coors Melling crew. There's Dan Elliott in the front there hugging his wife, Ernie and the rest of the crew, and Dad Georgia to the left of your screen with the glasses. And there's the man who did it, Bill Elliott, the winner in the Coors Ford.
We will, of course, have comments from Bill in victory lane, so don't leave us now. There's more to come. But it's turned out to be a glorious run for Bill Elliott on a simply glorious day here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Unofficially, second is Bobby Allison, Sterling Marlin third, then Terry Labonte and Richard Petty. We'll be right back. Victory Lane ceremonies underway. Pat Patterson.
And Bill Elliott climbs out of the number 9 car. Bill, congratulations. A great run this afternoon. Your 4th victory in the 1987 season. You look tired. Was it a tough race?
I'll tell you what, I ran as hard as I could all day long, and I just ended up front there at the end. And everything worked. I was really worried about gas mileage there at the end, and everything worked out.
It seemed like the chore out there today, Bill, was to really stay out of all the trouble and the problems that everybody had.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was so close to so many things, it was unbelievable. When the 30 car blew up here, I was right below him, and I was nearly in that crash and so many more. Man, I was just so lucky.
Well, I know this is the way you want to end the season, on a positive note. A couple more races to go, and I know you and your crew will stay pumped up for those.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dale ran good whenever he got down, but, our old car did good there at the end, and it really said something about, not winning here in May and the Winston and everything. And I'm tell you what, thank Coors and Harry Melling with their support, and I look forward to being with Motorcraft next year. And Ford's done a super good job with me also.
You think they're blowing that siren down there in Dawsonville at the pool room tonight?
I certainly hope so.
Okay, that's Bill Elliott in Victory Lane here at Charlotte for the Oakwood Homes 500.
I guarantee the siren is blasting down at the center in Dawsonville, Georgia. Whenever Bill Elliott wins, they hook that siren up there. And, of course, he did today. Bill Elliott picking up win number 4 of the season. Bobby Allison finishing 2nd. Sterling Marlin is 4th. 3rd. Terry Labonte 4th. And Richard Petty, a good run. He finishes 5th.
Coming home in the 6th spot today with a good run for him, Larry Pearson, who basically had one bit of a problem, and that was all. And he had that Chattanooga Chew machine running well. Lake Speed. We talked of Ernie Irvin with a good 8th place finish. Darrell Waltrip and Kyle Petty, who, of course, we'd mentioned after his win here back in May.
There will be no Winston Cup Championship for Bill Elliott, but 7 poles and 4 victories thus far for the year. A good season, well over $1 million, and he'll pick up almost $75,000 for his win today.
Finishing in 2nd spot with a good, strong run all day long, Bobby Allison of Hueytown, Alabama. Pat Patterson has caught up with him, fellas.
Bobby Allison comes home 2nd here. Bobby, I know you were pushing as hard as you could to try to catch Bill in the last stages.
Well, I really was. Our car handled perfect all day and ran perfect all day. He wasn't handling early, and they got that Ford handling, and that he just had way too much horsepower for us down the straightaways with that Ford engine. But we ran good all day, and we got to be happy with a 2nd after a pretty disappointing season.
You had a tough run there early on this year, and it seems like you're coming back on a positive note and want to finish the season on a very positive note for Miller and Stravola.
Well, I'd really love to, but, we go out every week and run as hard as we can, and we haven't been able to make that show until recently here. And everybody's just working real hard, and I know Stavola Brothers have really given us an excellent outfit to work with, and I appreciate Miller coming along and helping us like they have, and, backing us and supporting us like they have along the way.
Okay, Bobby Allison, Hueytown, Alabama, 2nd place here today at Charlotte.
Well, Billy and Mickey Stavola have got to be proud of this veteran driver here from Hueytown. The first pole ever for Stavola, the first pole in 5 years for Allison. He will finish 2nd today. He led 6 times for a total of 142 laps, Eli, more than any other competitor here in the Oakwood 500.
A further medical update on Neil Bonnet. They are afraid he might have a broken hip. That is the latest word. They will take a further look at Neil tomorrow. But all of us here at SETN spend this afternoon congratulating Bill Elliott, his 4th win of the year. It comes at the Oakwood Homes 500.
This SETN NASCAR Winston Cup Racing Special has been brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Never matters how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. And by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the 1988 Ford cars and trucks. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Exxon. Quality you can count on, Exxon. And by Xerex Antifreeze and Coolant, the antifreeze that beats winter.
The executive producer of SETN Sports is Jim Wigglesworth. Today's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500 has been produced by John R. Lewis. Behind 10th place finisher Kyle Petty, Ricky Rudd came home 11th, Dale Earnhardt 12th, 13th was Brad Teague, a good run, and Buddy Arrington finished 14th, a fine run for him. 15th was Steve Christman, Connie Saylor 16th, Ken Schrader 17th, Then Dave Marcus, Davey Allison, and Morgan Shepherd rounding out the top 20. In Winston Cup points, Dale Earnhardt still comfortably ahead by 525 points over Bill Elliott. But Elliott now with a comfortable margin over Terry Labonte, who is third, then Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd fifth in the overall season points. Upcoming here on SETN, the Winston Cup Goodies 500 from the Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. That's coming your way next month. And don't forget Busch Grand National Series coverage from Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Martinsville also coming your way. And for a complete look at auto racing news from across the country and around the world, remember This Week in Motorsports, hosted by Pat Scanlon. For Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson, I'm Eli Gold. So long, everyone.